Hello and welcome to Note to File, a clinical research podcast.
A collection of interviews, candid commentary, and general nonsense for the clinical research community.
Check us out at notetofilepodcast.com.
And now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hey guys, welcome to another Note to File live. How's it going, Denali?
Oh, pretty good. Excited. We have a surprise sticky notes today, so those are always...
We do. I was going to mention that Dr. Enterline had to reschedule, so keep your eye out for that. And if you're tuning in for that, sorry, you're stuck with the sticky notes.
How are you? How are you today?
I'm good, man. You know, it feels like a Friday. It's felt like a Friday all day to me.
Does that mean you just get to fuck off and not come to work tomorrow?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I plan to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
My brain is broken when it comes to time, apparently.
Is that like a daylight savings thing or just like a Brad thing?
Brad light savings.
Well, no, like I feel like the whole like actual time shift, but like the darkness, I don't know, been like weird. Although we have had some like crazy ass northern lights.
Yeah, that's too. We can even see them here in Oklahoma.
Really?
Which is like kind of weird. They're not like insanely intense, but it is actually pretty cool to be able to go outside and see them.
And I was driving home last night way later than I should have been, and there was like the sky was like pinkish, like it was like not like you didn't like see them like some folks were, but like it's kind of wild. Want to go to Iceland someday to actually see them, but
no, you've already seen them. You're good.
Seen them, done. Check it off the bucket list. That's what bucket lists are. That's what checklists are for. Is just to say you did it, not actually to experience the thing.
No, it's the process of checking the box off. All right, so we've managed to slap together a little bit of a sticky notes today on sort of short notice, so bear with me here.
What do we got?
I can even share this correctly. I don't know if it's working. Everybody knows how much I love Reddit. Again,
sure do.
There's a bit of fun anonymity that people will be a little bit more free with their thoughts and ideas on there. But it's probably, concern shared by many people in the industry in a fairly, busy thread here, asking realistically when the clinical research job market will return to normal, and scanning through some of this, I think it's interesting that, it seems to be mostly negative sentiment,
okay.
When it comes to, whether things will return to normal at all, or if this is simply the new normal.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask. Like, what is normal? Like, what are we even saying here is normal?
Well, that's what people are. It seems like there's a little bit of idea that this is more of a correction and not a cycle, that outsourcing will become, more permanent, that obviously like financial pressures, like, high interest rates, less investment in speculative treatments are going to continue to put pressure on cost cutting. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that any of these things are permanent.
Well, so my question, like to your point about like, is this just right sizing itself? Like this is us right sized from COVID. I know it's more 5 years out, like it's been a while, but like that stuck around, had some good like infrastructure job market impacts, especially in the clinical trial space in 2020, 2021, probably even a little bit 2022. And are we now just sort of seeing in the past year or two it correcting back to normal?
I do think there is some of that. I also think you start to take other considerations into account. You've got guidance that's going to move things towards like more decentralization, possibly, maybe more, risk-based approaches, which ideally I think would cover, potentially require less people. And then, I say right there, AI, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in our next little article that I've got pulled up. But, if AI and automation start to replace some of the more routine processes that people are responsible for, what does that mean? And there's still a question of how realistic that is. And to what degree that will be the case, but surely some, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. This is the same concept. Like every time there's a major new innovation, everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna take our jobs." And like, I mean, back to like the electric oven back in like the 40s and 50s, it was like, "Oh, this is gonna it's gonna completely change the
It took the job of fire.
Right, but people were so worried that like this is gonna change how people like cook, and it's gonna impact the restaurant industry and the food services industry and the grocery. And it's like it didn't take anyone's jobs; it just changed how people did their jobs. It changed the skill set needed. Like I don't need flint, steel, and sticks. I need to know how to, work an electric oven. So it's just like an adaptation in skill sets. I think the
Sure.
AI. I mean, yeah, probably computers. Same thing. Internet was the same thing. Like we went from abacuses to calculators. We went from encyclopedias to the internet. I think AI is going to be similar. So it's just going to adapt how we do the work.
But just like everything else, I mean, that's going to take a certain period of time to like find an equilibrium where, right now I'm going to hot take, but I think a lot of it's probably still sort of over exaggerated the degree that it will do what it says it's going to do. It seems like there are reports that are, coming out saying like the investments in AI right now aren't worth like the
no one's making money in it.
Efficiency. Well, it's not worth the efficiency that it's, quote unquote efficiency that it's gaining. And again, I'm far from an expert, but I've seen some recent reports where that at least seems to be the implication.
Yeah. Well, I think, isn't that true with like any innovation curve though? Like you have to invest in the beta forms that aren't going to be as great. And it probably costs like from a margins perspective significantly more to like get those early iterations done. And then that's when you see like the actual ROI, when you start like adding sophistication and usability to it. Like the first airplanes were probably real expensive for any money they got out of it. But eventually over time they became something that
plus they were way cooler though, like the kind you like pedal yourself off of a cliff and like you fly for 9 seconds.
Right. So like what was the ROI there besides just, elation and joy?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, it's hard to imagine at the time of that, imagining, commercial air travel the way that it exists today, right?
Right.
Like
and they still did it.
You couldn't possibly have envisioned that would be a result down the line.
Like some dude on a bicycle with wings is going to be like this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, it's like, don't worry, soon there will be planes crossing the country constantly with 200 people on board and not enough leg space for anyone that's over 6 foot tall. But yeah, that's interesting. No, that's a good point. So yeah, we're probably in the still early into the like figuring it out stage.
I mean, it's entertaining. I was watching this video of like this Russian robot like was making its debut, and within like seconds like walked out on stage and just like fell down. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Like, is the ROI? No, but like, oh, cool, we did it. Which was entertaining anyway.
Taza, you're on it today. I owe you a phone call later, by the way. I saw your text, but yeah, I mean, and look, we've seen some of this stuff that, NFTs, blockchain. We don't really hear much about that, right? I mean, those things were not inevitable. And I don't know. I mean, AI seems to have a lot more juice behind it than some of those things did. So, I mean, surely there'll be some, it'll catch at a, higher rate. But yeah. But, people really love to, and again, this kind of gets a little bit into the next article. People love to slap that fucking godforsaken Gartner hype cycle curve onto any new idea or technology. But that thing is like a perfect example of like survivorship bias, right? Because the things that don't ever make it don't fit on your stupid curve.
Right.
And there's lots of those things that just aren't there.
Like my 8-track.
Well, I'm still having 8-track. I listened to it.
The thing is, that would actually not surprise me.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I'm offended or appreciate that.
Dealer's choice.
Okay. I remember my grandfather had some amazing Glenn Miller 8-tracks in his RV, and I would listen to those. So Let's not talk smack on 8-tracks. Okay.
Okay.
We'll move on a little bit, talk a little bit more about AI. Actually, I had 2 articles initially, and I dropped one. But it was kind of interesting because they were both addressing AI in clinical trials, but sort of from different aspects. I think this one was a little bit more compelling to me that, making the thesis is that like trust remains the biggest barrier when it comes to, AI in clinical trials, which doesn't seem
So I clearly didn't
unreasonable.
read this, but is it talking about whose trust?
I mean, I think it's kind of all around. Like people aren't jumping in because they don't trust it yet. They don't trust the results. There's a lack of trust in the output. And then the sort of change management, which obviously requires like, I think a certain level of trust as well. So I think it's a little bit of everybody, not necessarily trusting the whole spiel yet, so to speak. And again, I think the other article I had was talking more about how like the biggest barrier is the process. So it's like the trust versus redesigning processes around AI, which I thought was kind of interesting, just dynamic between like why, what are going to be the biggest barriers? Is it going to literally just be, widespread trust, or is it going to be redesigning processes altogether to sort of fit into a whole different paradigm?
Well, this is like the triangle I always talk about, like when implementing a thing it's people, process, or technology. So the technology is the AI tool, what are they talking about? The process is how it's implemented, and the trust, and it's almost basically the people. Like, do you have the right people who have the right education, knowledge, etc., that can trust both of those things? So if you don't have one, the other, it falls flat. Like you can't make the triangle if you only have the two.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I wonder. Again, I don't know. It's hard to know what's real when you see all this sort of marketing around AI right now.
I mean, we kind of talked about this with Steve a little bit on Tuesday, but I think it's true. It's like there's no. I struggle with it because it's real. It makes sense. It's good. It's not like bad inherently, but it just kind of is irritating when it's this like big shiny thing. When it's like, yeah, it could be cool, and pieces of it will be cool, but it's, I don't know, like that is doing a disservice at some level, because now you have this, it's this marketing tool that people are using and slapping it on shit, and then you don't know who to trust about it because everyone's saying that they're all doing it, and only a fraction of people are actually doing anything or doing it in a good way.
Yeah, and something I think the article touches on that I think is poignant too is like, look, you see AI output, but like because you don't know like how the sausage is made, it makes it harder to trust, right? Like, and I don't know about you. I don't have a broad enough understanding to know like what is happening at a technical level where I think that can make it somewhat hard to know.
So I was having this
what's trustworthy and what's not.
I mean, I was having this conversation the other day about like a similar concept, I guess, but it's like when you're talking about selling medical devices versus software, and there's a disconnect there at some point too, because one's tangible and one is in the computer. Think of the Zoolander, like it's in the computer concept, but like you have this tangible piece of something, and then you have this like more nebulous or conceptual thing, and some people just don't really have the same ability to conceptualize. And I think like you go to like AI, and that stuff, it goes a step deeper, like in that level of understanding. And so you're taking something from some people who truly like their abstract ability to have abstract thought is not necessarily as established or formed, and then you're using something that is so far down the other side that it becomes really hard to like understand. And if you don't understand something, how can you trust it?
That's fair, although I don't understand electricity, and I trust my lighting.
No, I remember very early on in my career in software, I sat down with a developer and was like, okay, explain to me how you write something and it shows up into a picture on my screen. And like, I still to this,
never mind.
I still to this day, like, don't fully get it. Like I get like ones and zeros and it translates to language, and it's like a math translation exercise. Like I get in concept, like, okay, but then how does that like, but then I'm looking at it. I'm looking at this computer, like how, and I don't, I use computers every day. I sell software. Like, there's just some pieces of it I just don't fully get. Maybe that says more about me.
Anyways, we'll see. And stay tuned for more uneducated takes about AI all throughout, because that's about all I got. So let's go back to Reddit. And I thought this just was something that tickled me because I see this all the time. Put your damn signature in your email replies. I see this all the time. It's so obnoxious when you're going through a huge chain, like a huge email chain. And I don't know about, I mean, I've heard this a little bit. I don't know if you guys out there, if you work at a site, if you're seeing this more and more, but like CRAs are not putting their contact information anywhere. You can't get a hold of them except via email, which I guess maybe that's just to be expected in this day and age. But again, like at the site level, you're dealing with like extremely time sensitive stuff. You got a patient who's sitting in front of you waiting to be randomized. You can't get a hold of anybody, or you don't even know the title of the person you're freaking talking to. It's ridiculous. I don't know if you see that at
so my question is like
level, but
I mean, yes, but my question, like, so thinking about like the structure of emails, so sometimes in like new emails versus reply alls, you set your signature, and if it's a reply email, you don't add it, and it only adds it to new emails. Or even the platforms, it will like use AI to detect like old parts of the messages and like roll those up automatically. And so it's somewhere in there, but like even if you add the signature, it detects it as like old message and like scrunches it up under like the hidden parts of it.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think that's. Do you think
learn how to use email?
I
get it, and I think with with Outlook, like there's a difference between your like outgoing email signature and your reply signature. But you know what? Learn how to use email.
Well, you can also change it. You can just have your signature the same in everything.
Yeah, I think it's literally like copy and paste or click a box. But that's what I'm saying. Like learn how to do that, because especially when you've got a long email chain where multiple people have piped in. You're like, who is this? Who is this? Who's
this person?
Who's Mike? What does Mike do?
I feel like I've gotten it, but I also like there is very little like, I don't know. And how do I say this? There's very little that anyone at a tech vendor does that's like as time sensitive as something you would do in an actual clinical research site. Like you have a patient in front of you, it's time sensitive, you're delivering care. Like that is much more time sensitive to be like, we need this demo scheduled, or we need like this, scope and call to conversation to have, or we need to have this like partnership and goals discussion. Like the urgency level, while sometimes there are like, you want to have urgency and whatever, but like it different.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I get that, but at the same time, like I think we can all acknowledge like one of the biggest issues in this industry is communication, and whether it be lack thereof or just bad communication. And at the very least, you can know like who you're talking to or who you need to be talking to. Like that seems like a bare minimum,
So are you seeing this as like trend specific as far as like types of people, types of roles, types of organizations, or is this just sort of in general, like we're all just kind of fucking off and not doing what we need to?
No, well, I mean, it sounds, at least from the context of that Reddit thread, or it seems to be, more widespread. I noticed it like a while back. I mean, maybe even a year back. There's a particular CRO. I don't know who it is exactly, so I won't say. If I did, I would be happy to say it. But like all of their CRAs all of a sudden had no email or no telephone contact.
That was probably policy.
I was going to say, I mean, that may have been on purpose, but again, of all the people that you might need to pick up the phone and call, a CRA is probably the literal number one person that you need to resolve something. I got to get a hold of you.
So I would wager a guess that any major sponsor CRO or tech vendor has an email signature policy that they're required to follow that says this is what you have included. This is the format. You have your name, you have your title, your email, your phone number, whatever that piece is, like a link to the web page, whatever that is. They have a policy. Now, how you use the email signature, I think, is another piece. Like, just put it on if you're applying all whatever. The fact that they're removing the phone numbers, I mean, there could be a couple of reasons. One, right, like they got complaints, it was abused, people were being spammed. Or people were complaining about like having to operate outside of their work hours. And they didn't want to pay overtime, like my phone's ringing. Or if my phone's on there, it's my cell phone, I have to do it after hours, you have to pay me for my cell phone plan.
Yeah, but like figure it out because it's still business, you know? I mean, it's fine. You can set like working hours on a phone, right? Where it'll go to voicemail. I mean, there's got to be, I don't know, there's got to be something to it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's got to be some solution that's not just saying,
never mind.
Hey, don't call me.
I mean, to be fair, I'd also much prefer like a text over a phone call because I'm probably pretty terrible at
Hey man, put that in there then. Put
text. Yeah.
Here's my phone number, preferred text, whatever. I mean, again, that's
Well,
I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. Different solutions. Shouldn't you just have a list of who the fuck you should be talking to on a protocol? Not being like, oh, this person emailed, I'm going to get it from their signature. Like, hey, this is my point person for this, this, and this, and this is their contact information.
Oftentimes you may get a contact sheet, but I mean, these are like medical monitors and weird job titles that I don't even know. Like your CRA can change.
That's
not infrequently.
And no one's
not giving you
that.
No, there's no like, and even then, oftentimes it doesn't have your direct CRA there anyway, because those are just like it's
a pool.
It's like an ever-changing pool of people who are going around different parts of the country covering other sites. It's just it lends itself to like not being consistent.
Right.
But again, if I need to talk to somebody, I mean, sure, I'll call up the medical monitor. Sure, Doctor so and so in Spain, you know, and at midnight. But like they don't want me to do that.
I feel like you should challenge that, see what happens.
All right, I'm gonna do it. We'll do it on air, and we'll see if anybody picks up. We'll test each of you sponsors to see how dedicated you are to supporting your sites.
I actually would find that fascinating. I think that's a really good. That would be a fascinating exercise, actually. I mean, it's interesting, but again, also like I do get it. Like, I don't know. Well, I guess it comes down to like personal information being out there. Like, it is. It doesn't matter if I put on the email signature, send it out, whatever. I'm still going to get some weird ass spam texts about like, do you want to lose 80 pounds in 2 weeks? And I was like, are you amputating my leg? Like, what's the plan here?
Someone needs to get a hold of you about your car warranty.
Yeah, my roof, actually.
No, either way, all of them.
It's the one I got this morning.
Okay, perfect. All right, we got one more queued up. Sorry, I'm doing this all wrong. There we go. This just came out. When did this come out?
Not today.
This to my attention. Okay, so an interesting, little write-up from the New York Times. What are clinical trials and how do they work? Which, for any of us in the industry, this is not going to be like a groundbreaking article, but I think it is pretty cool because we can probably all agree that, there's not enough just light out there on what clinical trials are.
Yeah.
So it's very high level and kind of talks about, the basics of clinical trials. The one thing I did find, I guess, I don't know, tickled me a little bit is, the little section about why should we trust these, and talking about, well, because they're monitored by institutional review boards. And then we just had this article out a couple of weeks ago
also
about
a New York Times article.
Yeah, right. So that kind of made me giggle a little bit, but you have to hand it to them. I mean, I think it's great that someone like the New York Times is putting out information that, ostensibly people can Google and find and at least go somewhere that they might trust.
To Google it, like you have to Google it. You have to be like, what is a clinical trial? Like you have to have the thought process and then you have to be curious enough to actually do it. Like this is the thing I thought was interesting about this is that it's putting it just like general, like, hey, this is something you should be paying attention to. Like not necessarily even the information within it, but sort of like, hey, this is just content that like you should like I'd see in the newspaper, like, oh, that's a topic. Okay. Like, it just like brings it to people's attention as opposed to like, and I think that's it's just awareness was fascinating. And I think when we talked to Walt, he had that, like the article didn't do and make a big of a splash as like they were kind of hoping it might, given some of the content of the article. But I think we touched on this a little bit, but like if you don't know the fundamentals of a clinical trial, when you start unpacking like potential concerns or conflict of interest around a specific process that has to do with the regulatory oversight of clinical trials, you're missing a lion's share of the public who have no idea what a clinical trials really is. Maybe they've heard about it through COVID, but ostensibly don't know what a clinical trial is. And so you're trying to uncover something and share something that affects everyone because of how drugs are approved and go to market, and then everyone has them. But if you don't know what a clinical trial is, you're not going to really understand the impact of what that article was. Whereas the folks in the space, whether you agree or don't agree, had very strong opinions about it and had a reaction to it. The general public is not going to unless they have more awareness. So I liked that they had this as a, honestly would have been a better like pre-companion piece. Right. But I like that they're doing this, and maybe they should focus on writing more articles like this and less about women ruining the workplace. So I'm here for it. Focus on those articles, not the other shitty opinion pieces.
Yeah, I didn't actually even see that article. So
it was absolute horseshit. So
send me a link.
I will. It should have been titled "How is Gender Inequity Ruining the Workplace?" But we're just going to go ahead and blame it on the women instead. So.
Well, hey, it got your click, right? So that's probably what they're going for.
It also like clearly raised my blood pressure and made me real fucking mad. So
yeah, well, that's real hard to do.
Fair.
Very good. All right. Well, anything else that we salvaged today?
Yeah, we had like some decent content. Yeah.
No, it's all brilliant. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're fucking brilliant. That's all you need to know. Yeah, no, I don't know if I have too much else. Next week, we have on Tuesday, we have another sticky notes a week from today. But before that, we have Ken Getz coming on from Tufts. So that'll be exciting to talk about research.
Yeah, really cool. I mean, a lot of the sort of data we have about clinical trials comes out of Tufts from, Ken Getz' work. So I'm curious to ask him a few questions and get some more insight. So that'll be very cool. Well, good deal. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching, tell 6 of your friends about the podcast, and we'll keep making it forever until we're dead. So
that sounds about right. It's in our charter.
Exactly.
When we incorporate, that'll be the charter's mission.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thanks. See you next week. Later. Thanks for listening to Note to File. We're committed to continuing to bring you independent and unfiltered coverage of the clinical trial industry.
We want to talk about what you want to hear. So if you have something on your mind, hit us up at notetofilepodcast.com.